Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial on Figma. So in this tutorial we are going to be building out this landing page using Figma. So this is going to have our navigation, we're going to have our hero section, our header, we're going to have our team section, we're going to have something like a countdown, and you will have a footer. This tutorial is very good for you if you have little or no experience in Figma and you want to just get started with Figma. So I'm going to attach this project, the finished project, in the description of this video so you can get it and play around with it. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. So let's get started with the video. Alright guys, so let's get started, and first we need a frame, and you can either get a frame by using the F key on your keyboard or by clicking over here, and then you need to choose a device, or you can just draw out a frame. So in this case I need a frame for desktop, so I'm going to choose desktop over here, and we get a frame with this width and with this height. The next thing, I want to give this frame a color, and the color I'll be giving this frame, so I'll come to this field over here. It's going to be 1D, 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 and then we have this color over here. Alright, so next let's create our logos, and you can either create choose a circle by coming here, clicking on the ellipse tool, or you just press O on your keyboard. So I'm going to hold shift and I'll drag so I can draw a perfect circle. And next I'm going to come over here and choose polygon, and I would also draw out a polygon holding shift. And I'm going to rotate the polygon to minus 90 degrees, sorry, over here, minus 90. And then I'm going to join them together, and coming over here we have what we call boolean groups. So I'm going to click on these boolean groups, and in this case I'm going to choose the exclude selection over here, and exclude just does what its name says. So it's going to exclude the point of intersection of these two shapes over here. So I'm going to resize and give it a fill of E99 to 60. So this would be our icon, and next let's go on to lay out our navigation. I'm going to use the text tool, and we would have a section for our home page and also our about page, but let me give this home page a font size of 16 pixels. It's going to be medium, and for the fonts I'm going to use the Manrock font over here. So this is our home navigation, and I'm going to hold option and I will drag to duplicate, and this is going to be for our about section, and I'm going to go with Command D, and we have another about, but I will just exclude it from here, and this is going to be for our teams section. So these are our navigation items, and also we're going to have a button. And basically I like laying out buttons inside of a frame. You can obviously use the rectangle tool by pressing R, or you can come over here and pick rectangle. So we have rectangle, line, arrows, ellipse, polygon, star. You can also place your own image. So in this case I'm going to use a frame. I'll just go with F and draw out a button. I'll rename this frame. You can either double click here to rename, or you can come over here and double click, or you can just use Command R and rename over here. So I'm going to call this button. We are going to have different buttons, so I can just call this button register, or sign up, something like that. And this button, I'm going to give it a feel. So for now, I'm not quite sure, but I think this feel will be okay. And also I'm going to give it a border. So I'll come over here and pick the stroke tool. So I am also going to give it a border radius, and border radius setting is over here. So let's say 15 pixels or a border radius of 30 pixels, or maybe 45 pixels. So this is the register button. We can obviously edit this button and edit this button, but for now we are going to go with this. But let's just leave it as this for now. Or sorry, let's go on to duplicate. So holding Option, I can recreate the button, resize it a little bit, and let's add a text. So inside this button register frame, we have two, so let's work with this. Inside this, I can give it a text of, let's say, inside this frame of register. So you can obviously go all lowercase, and inside here you can come to this option over here for the text layer. So this is our text configuration. We can choose the font size, we can choose the font type, we can choose the font weight, we can choose the line height, letter spacing, paragraph spacing, and all these configurations. So but if we come over here, you can see we can align the text to uppercase, which is what we need. And if we click into this frame, okay, we can make this frame an auto layout. We will be seeing use case for auto layout in case you're not familiar with it. So we can click on this plus sign, and because it's an auto layout, we see that this the item is already in the center, just because for one we just have one item in it. So I'll be giving this text a feel of white over here. Let me also give the stroke, so the border radius, a feel of white. Alright, so now let's move all of these into the desktop. But before we do, for the navigation links, let's group them. So I'm going to highlight all of them and Command R. So Command R is for bad renaming. I'm going to rename it to our navigation links. Okay, and now you can see their names over here, navigation links. And next I'm going to group them in a frame. So if we go with Ctrl G or Command G, you see they are currently in a group, but I need them to be in a frame, so I'm going to come here and choose a frame. So now the three nav links, they are in a frame, and I would also make this frame an auto layout, and I'm also going to rename this to navigation item. So this frame contains our navigation item, and inside the frame we have our navigation links. Let's change it to navigation link. Alright, so first we can move the icon in here, and also our navigation links. Okay, we can give the navigation links a feel of white, or maybe not totally white. Let's highlight all of them and give them a feel. Let me undo. Yeah, so let's highlight all and give them a feel of okay, so give it a feel of, let's say, something, this grayish color is perfect. And for the active link, which is going to be our home, we can now give it a feel of white. Alright, so we have this. I'll just position it somewhere around here, and also bring in our button over here. For our button fill, I'm just going to give it a fill of white, but give it an opacity of, let's say, 30%. Yeah, I think this very much better. Okay, so we have our icon, we have our navigation link, and we have our button. Currently, I'm going to select all of them and also group them in a frame. And you can right click and see the add auto layout, or you can frame. Use the shortcut. You can first of all frame, and after framing you can also add auto layout over here. Alright, so now we have our desktop, so we can change this to a landing page. And in our landing page we have a frame, and this frame is for our navigation. So in our navigation we have our logo, we have our nav link, and we have our button. So let's click on this navigation and let's extend it the full width, okay, of our landing page. Okay, so it's currently taking the full width and also the full height. Now we want to space the logo, the navigation links, and also the button. We want to space it between this navigation that we have over here, and we can do that by coming over to where we have this options button, and if we click there we can see that the spacing mode is currently packed, but if we click we can choose space between. So on choosing space between, we now see that we have a spacing between the items. Okay, so let's give some padding, some horizontal padding to the edges. And in order for us to do that, I'll click on this landing page and I'm going to add a frame and also a grid layout, sorry. So I'll click on this plus over here. We have a grid layout. I'll click on this grid layout settings. I'm going to, let's see, give it columns, and I'm going to give it a count of 12. So we have a grid of 12 columns layout. For the color to stand out, I'm going to go with, let's see, yeah, I think this color is okay. And I'm also going to give it, let me see, okay, so for the gutter I'm going to go with 30, and I'm also going to give it a margin of 100. Okay, so now I want to give this navigation over here, we have a margin, a padding of 100 pixels so that it can match within our grid. And to do that, I'll come over here. So this is our horizontal padding and this is our vertical padding. So I'm going to give it a horizontal padding of 100. So now we have the header between our grid, and we can always use this grid layout while building the application, the UI. Okay, and next we want to add a horizontal line. Okay, in our navigation, and I'm going to press the L key on my keyboard, or you can come here and choose the line tool. So I'm also going to hold shift. Okay, I'm going to hold shift while I draw, and shift just makes sure that I can just only turn 45 degrees between, and I can easily have a straight line. So this is, let's rename it to horizontal rule. Okay, and I'm also going to frame it, and I can right click and click on frame. Let me zoom in and click on frame selection, or you can just use this shortcut option command G. Okay, now we have a frame, and we can also go on to add an auto layout. So let's see, we can add auto layout or just go with shift A. Okay, and now we have an auto layout. So next we can click on this and also rename it to horizontal rule, and the horizontal rule, I'm going to stretch it. Let me take off the grid, so I'm going to click on this frame and hide the grid layout that we have. So I can give this stroke a color of somewhere here. Okay, and the horizontal row, I'm going to stretch it to the end. Okay, let's do this. Okay, now you also see that the horizontal line did not stretch up to the end. So I'm going to click on the horizontal line, and inside here where we have a width of fixed, so I'm going to change it to fill container, and the container in this case is the horizontal row. The horizontal row takes up the full container, and the row we're going to say fill container, and then we have the horizontal line stretch over to the end. And coming back to, let's see, our navigation, we don't have some vertical padding, so we can just give something of, let's say, 10 pixels, some vertical padding, and I'll be grouping this navigation, so this layer over here, together with the horizontal row. So I'm going to right click, and I'm also going to frame the selection, and also, you can add an auto layout, or you can choose not to. And here I'm going to call this our header. So we have been able to build out the header of our landing page. Let's continue, and up next we are going to build out some section over here where we can have some text. So in order for us to get a dummy text, you can come over here to the plugins panel, and you can find more plugins, and you can give it a name. So in this case we will be using Lorem Ipsum, the Lorem Ipsum plugin. You can click on it and you can go on to run it. Okay, and another plugin we'll be using would be Unsplash. So you can click on Unsplash and also go on to run the plugins. Okay, so we have these two plugins, and what I will do, I will just right click on plugins and click on Lorem Ipsum. So after running the Lorem Ipsum plugin, you should be having this option over here, and it's going to load up Lorem Ipsum. And for it to work, obviously we need to choose a text layer. So I'm going to choose a text layer over here. It needs some words. I'm going to tell it to generate about, let's say, 12 words, and click on generate. So we have this. I'm going to just reduce it a bit, and I'm going to duplicate. So I'll also right click on plugins, choose Lorem Ipsum, and now I need about 6 words. So I'm going to choose 6 and click on generate. Alright, so we have our words over here. So this text over here is going to have a font size of 15 pixels. We can leave it at medium, but for the fill we're going to have a gradient. So we can choose linear gradient over here. And let's see, we want it to not start from top to bottom, so we can change the direction like this. Okay, and for the first color, so for this color over here, we currently have it's all black, so we can change it to C15D74, and the end color we can also change it so over here to DD9C77. Okay, so let's see, currently it's on 0%, so let's increase it to 100%. Alright, so this is our text layer which we'll be using over here, and for this we can also give it let's say a font size of 92 pixels. We can adjust the width, we can give it font size of extra bold. Okay, and we can obviously adjust the width. Okay, so we have this coming going for us. We're going to center, and we'll bring it over here and change the fill to white. Okay, so now we have this text. I'm also going to right click and add an auto layout to this text over here, and I'm going to call it small text. And inside the small text we have our text, and for now it's hugging the content, so the content is the small text over here. And we have this big text. I'm also going to frame it. So I just did it by using the shortcut. I'm also going to rename it to our big text. Okay, I would also add it to an auto layout. So we have this big text, we have the small text. I would group them together and add them to an auto layout. So inside here, let's see, our small text and our big text going to group together, and I'll be renaming it to text. So in our landing page we have our text layer, and we also have our header. Let me take the header to the top, so I can just move the header over here. So now in our text, let's go on to add an auto layout to it. So now we have, and let's center the element. So we have this text over here, and let's turn on our grid to know how things are currently positioned. And for our text layer, we can position it somewhere here around here. Okay, so let's turn off the grid. Cool. So we have this as our main heading, and we have this over here. And for our button, we duplicate, and in here I'll be adding an auto layout, and I'll also rename to our button. So this is going to be our button book a seat, or reserve a seat, something like that. Alright, so this button, let's bring it in, and we are going to add the text to the frame. And because it's an auto layout, we see that it's hugging the content, so we're going to say book a seat. Now I'll click on the button. So I'll click on this button element over here. I'm going to give it some padding, so horizontal padding of 30 pixels and vertical padding of 15 pixels. So in case you don't want to give it a vertical padding, you can also give this frame a height, and you can come over here and center align what you have. But in this case, I want to give it a height to hug the content, and I'm going to give it a padding instead of 15 pixels. I'm also going to change the color. So for the button, I'm going to change the fill. Okay, and I'll be using, let's say, maybe something bluish. Okay, and I'm also going to change the color of this text over here to white. Alright, so we have our text layer, and we have our button. So I'm going to also group them together. I would also right click and add an auto layout, and automatically we see that the contents are center aligned. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so that's it for our heading section. And this framework we have over here, I'm just going to rename it to be our hero background. So after this, we have our theme section, and I'll use the rectangle tool by pressing R, and I'll just draw out a box. I'm going to give it a width of 370 pixels, and also a height of maybe 466 or maybe 470 pixels. You know what? Rather than use a frame or a rectangle, I'm going to use a frame, and also give it a width of 360 pixels and a height of 470 pixels. So we would not be using this rectangle. I'm going to rename this frame. I'm going to call it person card. So this is going to be our person card frame, and I would not be adding an auto layout to this frame. And in this frame, the next thing we want to, give it some stroke. Let's see, maybe a size of 30 pixels will be fine. And I'm also going to, add an image. So let's go to add an image. And as we have seen, there are different ways to add an image in Figma. We can come over here and choose this place image. You can use drag and drop. In our case, I'll be using the Unsplash plugin. So I would right click and go to plugins and go to Unsplash. Okay, so now we have Unsplash, and I'm going to choose person. I'll search for person, and I'm going to pick 3 people that will be needed. So I'll bring this out as 1. Actually, I'm looking for those with a dark background. So this would 2, and let's see, I just needed black background. Okay, so 3. So I can close this, and we have our images over here. So first I'm going to click on this image, and I'm going to resize it to give it a width of 360 and a height of 470, so it can match our box, and just place this inside here. Cool. So this is 1. You can click on this and move. Alright, so next I'm going to add a name. So we can also right click, Lorem Ipsum, come to our plugins, choose Lorem Ipsum, and it needs a text layer, so we'll just add a text layer over here. We need 2 words and generate. Okay, and for the name, we are going to give it size of 52 pixels, manrop, and let's go with extra bold. You can use poppins, extra bold. Okay, and I'll just use enter over here. Center align. Okay, so this is his name, and I can give it a fill of white. So we have this text over here, we have our image, and they are both contained in our frame. And let's also choose another text layer, and we can say app designer. So this is going to be 20 pixels, medium, and going to give it a fill of white, and drag it over here. Okay, so this is one of our person card, and I'm just going to duplicate this to be the second one, and I would increase again to be the third one. Okay, and for this I'm going to delete the image, take the second image, give it a width of 360 by 470, and drag it into our frame. I'm going to move it to the back, so you can right click and see move to back. So you have to click on the image, right click, and click on send to back, or you use the shortcut over here. Okay, so now the image is at the back and we have our text in front. I can call the name to be Jane Doe, and give maybe a web designer over here. Okay, so this is our second person card. We can change this to person card 2. This can be maybe person card 1, and this can be person card 3. Alright, and next we are going to also resize, give it a width of 360 and a height of 470, and replace, one of these we have here. Going to replace it here inside the frame. Okay, I'll send it to the back. I will call this John Doe. And I can just say maybe app developer. Okay, so let's brighten things up a bit, and over here we can change the fill to, let's see, yeah, we can change the fill of the stroke over here. Okay, and over here we can also change it to, let's say, DE9 DFF. Rather than FF, let's say 77. We can also change it to 99DFE8. Okay, so now we have our person card. Let's start with our person 1. I'm going to, it's already in a frame, so we can bring it in and increase the spacing of our landing page. So we can increase the spacing. Okay, and we can have our person 1. So somewhere here, and bring in our person 2. Somewhere here, and bring in our person 3. Somewhere there. So I'm going to zoom in and let's see what we have over here. So we can position them, or I'll just click on all 3 of them and add them in a frame. So I'm going to frame the selection, and I'm also going to add an auto layout. Okay, so now we have nice spacing. I'm going to have the auto layout. For now we have our constraints somewhere here, so I'm going to center everything. I'll come back to our landing page, and I'm also going to bring back our grid, and let's see if we can increase the spacing between the items to match. Okay, so now we have the space between items or lines to be 79 pixels. We can just make it 80 pixels, and we are done. We can go on to hide our grid like this. Alright, I just noticed that we have too much spacing over here. So line height, let's say 150% or 90%. Cool. So let's adjust this, and let's change this and this to a line height of 90%, and bring them both down. So we are done with this section, and next we are going to do, we are also going to add another section. So maybe like where we can have a countdown or something like that. Alright, and to do that we are going to get the text, our text tool. I'll just draw events over here and right click for our plugins. So I'm going to choose our plugins. I'll choose Lorem Ipsum, and I'm going to generate about let's say three words. Okay, and so I'm also going to duplicate this. I would right click, go to plugins, go to our Lorem Ipsum plugin, and I'm going to generate about, let's say, 10 words. Okay, and I'll duplicate this, right click, lorem ipsum, our plugins, lorem ipsum, and I'm going to use, I would not generate words, I will generate paragraphs, so 2 paragraphs should be enough. You can also set some additional settings, so if you want it to begin with lorem ipsum, in this case I don't want it and I want the plugin to be closed. Okay, so I'm going to generate 2 paragraphs and we have our 2 paragraphs here. So how do we work with this? First, let's bring this over here and let's give this a font size of 72 pixels. So I'm going to give it a font size of 72 pixels and also a font weight of bold, and here go with our manro font. Okay, and I'll drag this inside here and give it a feel of white. Alright, let's also get more spacing, and inside here we now have one text. I'm also going to go for the second text over here. Now we can just bring it into our frame, and this text we can give it a font weight of 20 pixels, give it a feel of white, and give it font of semi-bold, a font size of semi-bold over here. And we can come over to these additional settings and just change the casing to be a title case, or we can go with yeah, let's go with title case right here. You can also go on to choose as typed, or let's go with title case. Alright, and we have this, and next we would come over here and click on our paragraph. We would change it to font size of 16 pixels. Let's for now give it a width of 500. Okay, and let's bring it here. Okay, and we actually have too much text over here, so I'm going to increase the spacing and just delete some words we have. So we can use that as our first paragraph and delete every other thing we have here as our second paragraph. Okay, and text left align, come over here, choose as typed. Okay, let me come over here and choose the casing to be as typed, and also give it a font weight of regular and the font type of manro. Okay, so I'll bring it in and give it a feel of white. Okay, so we have our text going on here, and I'll just position this here and also position this somewhere here. Maybe do something like this, send it to the left, maybe add another word, so Ctrl C, Ctrl V, bring this bring this down and bring this over here. So I would actually give this medium, and also give it a I can also come over here and give it we have a line height of 150%. Okay, so with that I can now come over here and choose our paragraph. So I would frame this, so using Shift A, I'll add an auto frame. I would also add an auto frame here. I would also add an auto frame, and this auto frame you can see is hugging the content. This other frame here is hugging the content, and this other frame is hugging the content. And here we can rename this to maybe text big And we can also rename this Command R to text more, and we can also Command R text paragraph. So we have all this. I'm going to Command A to add these two to an auto layout, and I'm going to rename them to section text like this. Okay, and I'm also going to Command A, Command R, and let's see, yeah, Command R. So I'm going to rename the two to section text. Okay, so we have the section text over here and another one. So I'll rename this to section heading text like this. All right, so we have this. I'm going to take this paragraph. I'm actually going to frame these two. So Command A, we have them now in their own frame over here. So let's open it up. We have our section heading text and the other text. So I would name this to section text again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend the section text to perhaps somewhere around here. And I'm going to come to this other section text we have, and I'm going to say fill container. Now it fills a container, but the text still doesn't fill the container. So I'll click on the text, and rather than give it a fixed width, I'm going to say fill container. So now it fills the entire container. Okay, and now let's add something like a countdown. So I'm going to choose a frame over here, and I'm just going to draw a box. Let's give it a width of 570 pixel by 505 pixel. Give it some some border radius of maybe 10 pixel. What else? We can rename it to image or section image. And what else? We are going to get an image from plugins, go to Unsplash, and I'm going to search for maybe team meeting or maybe team party, something like that. Let's see. Okay, so this looks very much okay, so I'm going to drag this into the frame. Okay, let me see. Actually, we don't get the image, so let me go to our plugins, go to Unsplash again, and I'll just research team party, and let me see. So I'll just copy this in here. All right, so I would also resize by 570 in width and 505 in height, and I'm just going to add it to our frame over here. So I'm going to change this to, okay, it's a section image. I'm going to rename this image over here, so rename to party. Okay, sorry, I renamed the frame, so I'm going to rename this to party. Okay, so now we have this. I'm just going to drop this in here. So let's see, it fits in here. Okay, and I actually want to give this to some spacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on both, and here I'm going to rename to let me see, I'm going to frame. So I'm first going to, where do I get my frame selection. I would also add an auto layout. Okay, and you can see this one now comes down a bit. Okay, and I'm going to give space in between to be, let's say, 50. 100 pixels. Okay, currently it pushes this to the side, which is not what I want. So I'm going to, bring this back. Okay, and also take this back. Okay, let's turn on our grid layout and see what we have. So our layout grid for the landing page, I lost it. Okay, so I'm going to give it a grid. Come over here, a size of columns, count of 12, give it a gutter of 30 pixels and a margin of 100 pixels. Okay, nice. So we have this well positioned over here. Let me hide it. Okay, and we can add something, like a countdown section over here. So I'm going to rename this frame to be events section or event countdown section over here. So we have this to be our frame. What is this? Okay, so we can call this our host, something like that. So host section. So we have our header, which is over here. We have our hero background. Our header should go up, our hero background next. We have our host section. Let me see. So our host section should come up, and then we are currently on our event countdown section. All right, so for this countdown section over here, I'm going to have a frame. So I'm just going to draw out a frame over here and add an auto layout, and inside the frame I'm going to add a text, and I'm going to say 7, come down and say days, something like that. So for the 7, I'm going to give it a font size of 36 pixels, also make it bold. Okay, and for the days, I'm going to give it a font weight of 16 pixels, medium. Okay, that's very much okay. And I'm going to call this countdown. Okay, so we have 7 days, and I'll bring this somewhere over here. Okay, and next I'm going to, where we have this countdown frame, and let me see. So I'm going to take this party image off. Okay, so this is for, let me see what we have. Sorry, I'm going to take it to the back so the party, the countdown can show. And this is also going to be within a frame. So let me bring this out, and I'm going to Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So we have, another countdown here. Instead of 7 days, so this is going to be, let's say, 10 hours. Sorry. Okay, so this is going to be 12 hours. And now I can click on this and also click on this and add an auto layout. I'm going to right click and click on add auto layout. Okay, so now in this auto layout, I can now name this countdown. In this auto layout, I can now click on this, and you see it's actually pointing to the horizontal direction, and I can Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and the list grows. So I can Ctrl D and Ctrl D. Okay, so 7 days, 10 hours. This is going to be, let's just say 14 minutes, and this can be maybe 5 seconds. And we can delete this. So now I'm going to bring this countdown over here like this. Okay, I'm going to click on this frame, this countdown frame. Let's see. Yes, so this countdown frame, I'm going to give it some padding, horizontal padding of, let's say, 50 pixels. Okay, no, let's see. First, for the fill, so for the fill, I'm going to add a fill to each of this countdown that we have. Okay, and I'm going to add a fill of white or maybe of black and give it some opacity. Okay, something like this. Give it a text color of white, so I'm going to remove this. And for the individual text, I'm going to hold all, and I'm going to give it a fill of white. Okay, so this can be our countdown section. And lastly, I'm going to add a footer, so I'm going to click on the landing page and adjust. And for our footer, I'm going to choose a frame. Okay, so I'm going to choose a frame. Alright, so for the footer, I'll choose this frame, and I'll just bring the frame over here like this. Okay, and I will rename this frame to be our footer. And our footer, I'm going to give it a fill of none. So I'm going to take out the fill. I'm going to give it a stroke, but this stroke would only be applied to the top like this. And the color is going to be somewhere around here. So that's a border top. Okay. So this is our footer, and I'm going to duplicate our icon from the header. I think the footer, let's see, okay, here. Let's bring the footer to the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to copy this icon we have over here and place it here. Okay, so we have this footer, and we can just have some social icons. For this, you can also search for a plugin. So come here, search for another plugin, which is Iconify. So find more plugins, and you can search for Iconify like this. Okay, you search and go on to run the plugin. So I'm going to search for Facebook. Okay, I'm going to search for Facebook, and pick anyone over here. And I would also search for maybe LinkedIn, and just take this. Okay, so I would zoom in and grab our Facebook and our LinkedIn icons. You can see this is a frame, so we have this Facebook icon inside the frame. We can delete the frame, and we can also extract the LinkedIn icon out of this frame. Okay, and I would zoom in, take the two icons we have. I'm going to fill them with white color, and for the Facebook, I'm also going to fill it with a white color like this. And I'll click on both. I'm going to add them to a frame, so I'll right click, add to frame, and add an auto layout for for the two icons. And I'll click together with this other icon we have, and let me see. Yes, I'm also going to add it to a frame. So I'm going to add it to a frame. I use the shortcut, and this time around I'm also going to add an auto layout like this. I'm going to center align it so that we have this come below. I'm going to tell it to let me see. I'm going to adjust the width over here, and also the height over here and over here. Let's zoom in and let's try to increase the sizes of our icons. So let me try to increase the size of Facebook icon and also our LinkedIn icon. Okay, so these are our icons here, and okay, so we are done with our our simple design, and we can quickly play out the prototype. If we click on this landing page frame we have here and you click on play, you're going to see how you can share, or a prototype of how this website is going to look like. If you want to share the link with your colleague or with someone, you can click on the share button. So I'll be clicking on this share button and I'll attach the link that I get, so I'm going to click on this link and attach it to this video so you can get the same file in case you need it. And if we come over to the prototype, we see how the final build of our page. So that's it, guys. This is just an introduction to Figma. If you like the content and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please do go ahead and subscribe. See you guys later. Take care and bye.